Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Alright, I wanted to start this video by talking about where I was yesterday. You guys know I was in Belfast for the very controversial Lewis Crocker versus Paddy Donovan fight. I will say this before we get into the controversy. Incredible atmosphere. Honestly, incredible. Like, I was told it was going to be good, and I think it exceeded expectations. I think there was about 8,000 in there. But it sounded like when Lewis Crocker came out, like there was 20,000. Honestly, it was fantastic. Look, we're going to park that for a minute because I do think we should start this video with what happened at the Barclays. Gervonta Davis versus LAMONT Roach. In the end, it was ruled a draw. I think many people, regardless of the knockdown or Gervonta Davis taking a knee, we'll get to that. But many people, regardless of that, had LAMONT Roach winning. I've not watched the fight in full. I've seen a lot of highlights, so it's very difficult for me to score it. Me and G-Man, you guys know, will film on Thursday. It'll be out on Friday, and we'll do a deep dive into the whole fight card. I know all the results, but I haven't seen all the fights, so it's wrong for me to give my opinion on them. What I do want to give my opinion on is Steve Willis. Now, look, I love Steve. I think a lot of you guys share the same admiration for him. When he referees, he almost referees like a fan. He enjoys it, but he choked. He choked on a big moment that there has to be some sort of, he has to be reprimanded, doesn't he? And I don't like doing or saying that because, again, I think Steve's one of the good guys, but he got it wrong. He got it wrong badly. And when you look at the scorecards, him getting it wrong has cost LAMONT Roach the biggest victory of his life, has cost him millions because ultimately, there would have been an immediate rematch and he would have got millions. And it's saved Gervonta Davis. I mean, Gervonta Davis voluntarily took a knee. Steve Willis started counting. Gervonta Davis popped up immediately, decided to go to his corner, wipe his face, and then obviously turn around and look at Steve Willis like, yeah, I'm good to go. And I'm like, huh? What, Gervonta Davis is making up his own rules as he goes along? Steve Willis started counting. Like, I'm sorry, you start counting, you continue counting. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is Gervonta that powerful and that big that he can just decide when a fight should stop to halt because some sort of, I don't know, something's got in his eye? You can't do that. I'm sorry, that's a knockdown. That is a knockdown. And look, I've seen and read a number of responses on Twitter, and for once, I think the boxing world's thinking exactly the same thing. We're in unison. It's a knockdown. There is no question about it. And again, I don't like to dig out Steve because I do think he's one of the best referees in the game, but he's just choked. He's choked. And I don't know if there's that sort of instant replay thing there where you can retroactively score rounds, but there should have been, because that's a 10-8 round. And again, if it's a 10-8 round, and look, there are so many different variables, right? Because if he did score that a legit knockdown, who knows, right? Gervonta Davis might have tried to go up a level and you don't know if he's going to get a stoppage. But one thing we do know, the scorecards were in, and if that was a 10-8 round, LAMONT Roach wins. I've seen a lot of shit in boxing. As a fan, as someone that's now ringside covering events, that might be one of the worst things I've seen in recent years. Honestly, that's awful. That's awful. And it reflects even more bad now on Steve Willis because, again, if that's a 10-8 round, I'm repeating myself, guys, I do apologize, but if that's a 10-8 round, LAMONT Roach wins. LAMONT Roach wins. Do you know how crazy that is? Do you know how crazy that is? That would have been one of the biggest wins in the last decade. That's how big a win that is. That's crazy. And I'm surprised by it. I'm surprised that, look, maybe Roach has not got one of those personalities where he's going to lose it, but I'm surprised he didn't lose it. Like, I'm shocked that he did not lose it because there are a number of boxers, like, I don't know why Paulie Malignaggi just came into my mind. I remember when he fought, was it Diaz? I can't remember, when he got a bogus decision against him and he lost the plot. And I think he then got a rematch and stopped him. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Just go and look at his resume. Sometimes you need to scream and shout for yourself. Sometimes you can't expect people to do it. And I'm surprised that LAMONT Roach didn't fucking kick up a storm. They didn't kick up a storm. And even with Gervonta at the end, I think it's been confirmed that Gervonta said to him, "You're not going to get the decision." I mean, what the fuck? Does he run boxing? Like, what is this? Crazy. Honestly, crazy. I will say this about Gervonta. Again, I've not watched the fight in full. I've only seen highlights. He does look a bit, and I'm reading his body language even up until the event. Up until the event, post-fight, he does look a bit disinterested. There's been a lot of talk about him wanting to, I don't know, take a pause from the sport. It is weird to not see Leonard Ellaby around. I almost feel like they gave him a bit of shelter because they took all the heavy loading when it came to dealing with the media. Ellaby, Floyd Mayweather, etc. But he looks like someone that's just almost had enough. And look, I mean, these guys have been boxing since, I think Gervonta's been boxing since he was 8 or 9. I can kind of see how it might get a bit like, oh, I'm tired. You know, I've made the money I needed to make. I don't know. There's something not quite right with Gervonta. But in saying that, let's not take away the credit we should be giving Roach. Now, Roach, a good fighter. I think he proved that he's a good fighter. You know, with Gervonta, yeah, Gervonta is an interesting one. Like, I was having this debate with someone this morning. I was having a debate with someone like, how good is Gervonta? Like, I expected Gervonta to run through him because it's Gervonta. But then I look at who he's fought recently. He hasn't fought any of the top dudes. He isn't. He's not fighting the top guys. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't want to be a victim of the moment, but maybe we've put him too high on a pedestal. I don't know. Like, he's not fighting the top guys. When we wanted him to fight Loma, we didn't get the Loma fight. Shakur Stevenson fight we've been begging for years, and he seems to get angry with anyone in the media who says he should fight Shakur Stevenson. We know he's not going to fight Keyshawn Davis. Do you know what I mean? He's never fighting. When Devon was at 135, we didn't get that fight. 135 against Ryan. Ryan had this rehydration cap, and we didn't really get the proper Ryan. I don't know, man. I don't know. But look, let's give a lot of credit to Lamont Roach. I mean, again, he came in as a big underdog. He promised all week that he was going to deliver, and he delivered. He delivered. And look, I mean, if we can't get a rematch, if we can't get Shakur versus Gervonta, I'm pretty sure it's easy to get Shakur versus Lamont Roach. Like, I was on a plane with Eddie coming back from Belfast, and he mentioned that Shakur texted him straight away and said, if we can't get Gervonta, give me Roach. Like, I want that fight. And I think because of Roach's performance, I think that will be a big fight. I don't know if it's a big pay-per-view fight. I don't know if it does 19,000 in the Barclays, but it's a big fight nonetheless. Again, I've not seen a lot of the undercard. I will watch it before me and G-Man do our thing on Thursday, and we'll talk about that. We'll break it down, what happens with a lot of those. I know the results. Like, I know Puello beat Sandor Martin. Obviously, that means Dalton Smith, I think, is mandatory for him, although he can have a voluntary. So we'll see what happens with Dalton Smith. Gary Anton Russell, big win as well against Jose Valenzuela. Again, once I watch them, I can talk about them. But Steve Willis, dude, I love you, but you got it badly wrong. Badly wrong on the big stage. Like, these are the moments where you separate the best referees from the mid-tier referees. Steve Willis is one of the best referees. That kind of performance puts you mid-tier. Honestly, there needs to be something said about what he done, because that's shocking. You let a big-time boxer almost bully you into changing your mind. Like, oh, something must, like, he's kind of just taking the piss out of you, pardon my French. Honestly, a joke. All right, let's, from one referee disaster to another. Oh my God. Or was it? Let's talk Paddy Donovan versus Lewis Crocker. I will say this right at the top. Like, what was Lewis Crocker doing? Like, I've watched quite a few Lewis Crocker fights, and I've never seen him fight like that. It was almost like he showed way too much respect for Paddy Donovan. And some might say, yeah, but if he opened up from that kind of weird shell style that he had, then he would have got lit up. Okay, cool. But you've got that fight because of the way you fight. Like, you've earned your right, or at least both of you have earned your right to fight each other because of the style that you've put forth in other fights. So why now completely change that style? And I think he spoke about the fact that he was going to do that for the first half of the fight, and then the second half of the fight, he was going to then go back to, I guess, the normal Lewis Crocker we know. The problem is, by the time he got to the second half of the fight, it was already bashed up. But none of you want to hear that. You want to hear about the points taken and the disqualification. Points taken. I thought both Paddy Donovan and Lewis Crocker were leading with their heads. I thought that both of them were kind of leaning over that front foot. The issue was Lewis Crocker was leaning over the front foot and staying still, almost statuesque, and Paddy Donovan was leaning over the front foot and moving. And because he's moving from side to side, it looks like he's initiating the headbutts and the elbows. Was Marcus McDonald... Look, he warned him a few times. So I don't know if I'm too upset with the points taken for the headbutts. By the way, there was a nasty elbow in there as well. So a point could have been taken from that. The disqualification is what's harsh, because Paddy Donovan is up. I mean, he is bossing that fight. He's destroying Crocker. But that punch came way after the bell, people. It came way after the bell. What I think should have happened, in hindsight, it's beautiful, but when you're in the moment, but again, these are the best referees. You know, they should know what to do. I think he should have given Crocker as much time as he wants. I think you can get 5 minutes, right? As much time as he wants. Take another point away from Paddy Donovan and give Crocker. But would Billy Nelson have pulled him out? Maybe. I don't know. The easiest solution now is just an immediate rematch. That's the easiest solution. And this is nothing. Eddie, by the way, a lot of people are, Eddie, you need to give an immediate... Nothing to do with Eddie. It's the IBF. You have to lobby with the IBF. Andy Lee has to lobby with the IBF. Paddy Donovan has to lobby with the IBF. And you've got to, I guess, decide if Lewis Crocker wants to do it. Because Lewis Crocker's in a position now. Remember, that was a final eliminator for Jaron Ennis's belt. I will say this. I like Crocker, but he will get lit up like a Christmas tree if he were to fight that way against Jaron Ennis. So if I'm Lewis Crocker, I've gone home, and you know within yourself, if you won that fight or if you were on your way to losing, I would have gone home and I'd be like, you know what? We got to run that back. We got to run that back, and I'm going to fight him the way I fight normally. Like, you've got a second chance, Crocker. If you're Paddy Donovan, you almost shouldn't be upset. I know he's dreaming to become a world champion, but everyone watching that fight knew that he was levels above. And I think in the rematch, he'll prove to be levels above as well. I think he's really good. Like Tony, I was trying to push Tony on stage about it. Like, how far away is he from Jaron Ennis? And Tony was like, he's miles away. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Honestly, I think he's slick. I think he's got good hand speed. He's got good head movement. He doesn't come in a straight line. He bobs and weaves. He's got underrated punch power. Because a lot of people were saying if anyone's going to score a knockout, it's going to be Lewis Crocker. But then you look at the knockout ratio, and the knockout ratio will tell you that Paddy Donovan's actually the bigger puncher. So, yeah, it wasn't an easy decision for Marcus McDonald. But I do think in that moment, calm heads need to prevail. And maybe both guys are swinging away, aren't they? Swinging away. He's not quick to jump in. The 10-second clapper goes. So he knows there's 10 seconds left. If both fighters are swinging away, you might have to take one, but you kind of got to get in the middle. And he didn't do it. So I don't know, man. It's crazy how two big boxing events, and both of the main events have a lot of controversy attached to them. I will say this, though. I think Steve Willis, not that I'm trying to compare both refs, but Steve Willis was the worst by far. I think Marcus McDonald some were saying he was on the side of Lewis Crocker. He wasn't. I actually got into a taxi at the airport. This is going from Belfast to the venue with Marcus McDonald. We're in a taxi, me, him and Barry Jones, and we were just talking about the fight. And he's like, I can't wait for this. He was excited like a fan. So it wasn't that he's biased towards Lewis Crocker. Get rid of that bullshit. That's not the case. He just made a mistake in the moment. He made a mistake. But there'll be some that will watch it and like, he knocked him out after the bell. What do you expect him to do? We've had a few of those, haven't we? Like, even think of the Joe Cordina Kakache, when they're breaking or they're told to break, and then Kakache lands a punch that basically changed that fight. Look what's happened to Cordina. Hasn't had a fight since. Look at Kakache. Kakache has had a couple of big fights, hasn't he? Or he's at least on the verge of his second big fight. Those moments can change so much in history. Those small moments. Steve Willis making that mistake, small moment. Gervonta Davis would have taken... His unbeaten record would have gone. Lamont Roach makes millions in the rematch. Small moments can change so much, which is why you need the best referees who don't get caught up and carried away with the crowd, just to kind of make those correct decisions. Make them, because it changes the fighter's life. Not much on the undercard. Tommy McCarthy lost. I think that's probably it. Congratulations, Stephen Ward. I did say it was almost a case of winner stays on, loser maybe stops. I think McCarthy, that will be that. I'll be very, very surprised if he continues. Good win, and I'm happy for Craig Richards to get his win as well. I'm not quite sure where McCrory is. So as much as I want to give a lot of plaudits to Richards because he's my guy, he did look a lot better. I will say this about Richards. He looked a lot more busier. I don't know the punch stats compared to his other fights like the Willie Hutchinson one, but he looked like he was starting to throw that right hand a lot more. In the first couple of rounds, I was ringside and I was getting frustrated. I was like, because he's jabbing. I was like, come on, you set him up with the jab, now show that right hand. And he didn't do it. He went back to the corner. I think Tony Sims gave him a bit of talking to, and then we started to see him throw hands. So, look, Richards is a very, very good light heavyweight, and he's kind of put himself back in the mix for something. Nothing crazy, but someone of note. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Lyndon Arthur. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Anthony Yarde, if I'm honest with you, but we'll see what happens with him. All right, let's see if there is anything else to quickly talk about. I did see this. Carson Jones has passed away. I hope that is correct. I'm pretty sure that I saw Carson Jones has passed away. Yeah. 38. I don't know. Okay, it says here, complications from throat surgery. Jeez. I remember those two fights. Was it two? I think it was with Kell Brook. Caused Kell a lot of problems. 61 fights he had. What was his record in the end? Right, what was his record? Like solid pro. Very solid. Very sad when we lose one from the boxing world, isn't it? So look, condolences to his family and friends. It's a shame. His record is 44, 16, and 3. He last had a fight just 2 years ago. The light heavyweight limit. Wow. And he won knockout. He won by knockout against a guy called James Warren. How long ago was that Kell Brook fight? Let's have a look. Kell Brook's fight. Yeah, 2 fights with Kell Brook. One he lost by majority decision. That's the one where I think a lot of people thought he won. That was back in 2012. And they had a rematch in 2013. And Kell won by knockout in round 8. Man. Hey, life, eh? Life. All right, guys. This week, we should have a bit more content coming your way. So not just Addy and G-Man, but I'm working on a couple of different ideas. One being the mental health one that I've been speaking about. But we're thinking of maybe just doing a live where people just are open and honest, and I'm open and honest, and we just have a discussion for about an hour. And there's another one which I can't quite tell you yet, but the first video of that other one should be up next week. So look, we're working on a couple of things. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. Enjoy the rest of the week, or should I say the week coming, and more videos to come during the week.